Hi guys, this is Dagi. Welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to show you how to make this beautiful lamb stew, Ethiopian lamb stew or Ethiopian lamb what. So basically to start off we need red onions. So I've got my red onions blend. I use the blender to chop it very fine so it's quick and easier to cook. And first step that we're going to do is we're going to steam the onion, or we're going to use the water from the onion to cook the onions basically. Just need to make sure the water goes out completely. So the first step is just letting that cook on its own. You can see the change of the color in the onions as you go along, but you need to make sure the water is going right. Okay, this one is optional. If you have magulaya, this is an Ethiopian spice which we use at the beginning of the cooking. If you have that, please do use that at this stage. It helps get the amazing taste and also helps cook the onions before we add the rest of the ingredients. So in between I am closing the lid, but if you can just leave it open. If you can stand next to it and just do it quickly, leave the lid open and then it'll be quicker to do that. So as you can see, the onions are changing color, and also you can tell that it's actually being cooked. As I am mixing, I'm also checking if there is any water left in there before I add the next ingredient. Next ingredient is oil. I don't add that much oil because I'm using lamb. You can also use beef with this recipe, but the lamb will have lots of fat, so just make sure you don't add too much oil. First I'm going to add the lamb with bones, and I will then add boneless lamb. So I'm not adding anything else, no water, just using what is there from the onions basically. So don't add any water or don't add too much oil, right? Okay, next I'm going to add the lamb, the boneless lamb, and we pretty much fry it together and let it cook on its own. You will notice that the lamb will start bringing up water. That's fine. We can use that to cook because we're not going to add water yet. So as you can see, the water start to come out, and that is fine. We can use that to cook. The meat slightly, you will see the meat is going to be a little bit more brown. So just make sure that is happening before you add the next ingredient. እሺ ጋይስ ይሄንን ቪዲዮ በእንግሊዘኛ ነው የሰራሁት። በአማርኛ ጥያቄ ካላችሁ ስቴፕ ላይ ኮሜንት ላይ ጻፉልኝና መልስላችኋለሁ። ለማያውቁ ሰዎች በእንግሊዘኛ ነው የሰራሁት። የምታውቋቸው የኢንግሪዲየንቶች ወይም ግብአቶች ነው የተጠቀምኩት። እስካሁን ሽንኩርት፣ ማቁላያ እና የበግ ስጋ ነው የተጠቀምኩት። Okay, next we add berbere. This is Ethiopian spice. If you're familiar with Ethiopian cooking, then you know what berbere is. It's pretty much used in most of the Ethiopian dishes, so we add that and just see how much you're adding. Obviously that will determine how spicy it will be, but also we're going to cook the berbere so we don't actually feel it much. But I'm using the berbere after the meat. Some people might add it before the meat, but this is the best way to get the berbere taste in the meat, and you will also see the difference. If you're used to cooking it a different way, this is the best way to cook it. Okay, as you can see, the lamb is continuing to produce water, which is helping us to cook. I still haven't added any water, so I'm making sure the berbere is cooked, blended with all the the ingredients that we have before we add water. If the berbere cooks really well, at the end of the cooking, you will know that when you taste it, you can hardly taste the berbere. You will see that how red it will be, but the taste will not be as spicy. So the key will be to make sure that you cook it thoroughly. So next I'm adding ginger and garlic. I blend it together, so I'm adding that and just mixing that through. Okay, this part is optional. If you don't have the seasonings that I have, you can use black pepper and white pepper, but I'm using korarima and black onion seed powder. I can only describe it this way because it's a black pepper version of Ethiopian spices. So if you can find black onion seeds, then it's the powder from that I've added, but you'll feel free to use black pepper and white pepper. That's fine. As you can see, I am cooking that through with the meat. The meat is going to be very seasoned at the end of it because I'm actually cooking it through with the berbere. And also, when you're cooking it, you can add lots of water at this stage. I'm just adding, as you can see, just a small amount. I will add another rounds of it, but just if you want to add a lot, just be careful that you don't add too much because it will be too watery. I like it to be a little bit thick, especially for storage purposes. I like it to be like that, and also I don't like the wort to be very runny, the stew to be very runny, so I don't add too much water, but people might add a lot more than I've added. But just be careful when you're doing that. It's best to add gradually a small amount, and then you see how thick it is, then you continue from there. So I'm going to add 2 rounds of the amount of water that you saw basically. Okay, now I'm adding salt. You add salt to your desired amount. We don't actually use that much salt at home, but I've added about 1 teaspoon of salt, but I will taste it and then add if needs be when I'm serving. But this is basically the amount that we use, but please do taste it before you serve so you know the amount that you're actually adding. So I close the lid, let it steam. As you can see, there will be more fat coming out of the lamb, which is the reason I didn't add lots of oil. And also I'm going to add kibe later on, so that's going to bring up that as well. So just make sure you do that. This is mekalesha. This is a mixed spice, Ethiopian mixed spice. You can find it in any Ethiopian stores. It actually makes a huge difference when you add it, when you don't. So I would advise you trying to find this seasoning. I'll put the information on the description box below for you, and it's best if you can actually get that from an Ethiopian store. Okay, we're almost at the end of our cooking. As you can see, this video is not very long, but the cooking process, it takes a couple of hours to few hours, so just bear that in mind. The berbere needs a lot more time to cook and get the right taste, so don't rush it through. Now I'm adding kibe, which is an Ethiopian spice butter, which I'm adding at the end. Some people add it at the beginning, it's optional, but I like to add it at the end. And I don't like to add too much, as I mentioned to you before. I don't like it to be too oily and there's lots of oil, just so best I just add it in the end to get the taste and also not too much of it. So that is pretty much it. Our Ethiopian lamb stew is cooked and ready to eat. የበግ ወጣችን ደርሷል። በጣም ቀላል ነው። ጥያቄ ካላችሁ ጠይቁኝ መጨረሻ ላይ። ምንም ችግር የለውም፣ አስረዳችኋለሁ ኮሜንት ላይ። I hope you guys like this video. So this is what it looks like. If you guys like the video, please do give it a thumbs up and share it with other people. You can eat this with Ethiopian injera, or you can eat it with bread. You can eat it as a side dish. It's up to you really, but I would advise you to try it with injera first if you want to experience Ethiopian food. Hope you like it. በሌላ ቪዲዮ እንገናኛለን. I'll see you with another video. Thanks. Bye.